Dear global citizens, we stand on the precipice of a revelation so profound, so all-encompassing, that it affects every single aspect of our lives. Yet, like many colossal forces, it remains hidden in plain sight, so vast and pervasive that it has gone unnoticed by most. This issue is not just another problem to be solved. It is a phenomenon so immense that it touches every life on this planet. This phenomenon now has a name. Heir syndrome, or LHS. Imagine standing within the footprint of a giant. When you are so close, you cannot see its full shape or size. It is only when you step back and gain perspective that the true enormity of the footprint becomes clear. Heir syndrome is much the same. It is a force so vast that at first glance it is invisible. We're all standing within its bounds, so close that we fail to recognize its presence. Like air, which we cannot see but is essential for life, LHS surrounds us, penetrates our thoughts, and guides our actions. It has been shaping the world for centuries, silently guiding the course of history, yet it is rarely acknowledged. But now the time has come to step back and see LHS for what it truly is, a pervasive syndrome that has infiltrated every corner of the globe. Heir syndrome is the inheritance and perpetuation of deceit, manipulation, and dishonesty across generations and societies. It thrives in the shadows, feeding on ignorance and unawareness. LHS is not just about individual lies. It is a systemic issue that has been woven into the very fabric of our world. It manifests in the distortion of truth, the manipulation of facts, and the silent acceptance of deceit as a norm. Understanding LHS is the first step in breaking free from its grip. History is littered with examples of LHS. The Holocaust stands as a chilling reminder of how societal lies can escalate into unimaginable horrors. For generations, anti-Semitic prejudices were passed down. These prejudices became justifications for discrimination, persecution, and ultimately genocide. The Tuskegee syphilis study is another stark example. For 40 years, African American men were denied treatment for syphilis. This was done in the name of science, but it was fueled by racist beliefs about black bodies. This legacy of medical mistrust continues to impact healthcare today. These examples show how LHS operates on a grand scale, but its impact can be felt in smaller, everyday instances too. Think about families where financial troubles are hidden, or communities where silence protects abusers. The past is not just a story we read, it's a force that shapes the present. By understanding the historical context of LHS, we can better recognize its presence in our own lives. LHS isn't confined to history books. It thrives in the digital age, adapting to new platforms and technologies. Look at the world of politics. Spin doctors and misinformation campaigns are rampant. Politicians make promises they can't keep. Facts are twisted. The truth becomes elusive. Social media presents another breeding ground for LHS. It's a place where we curate our online personas. We project an image of perfection. We hide our flaws and insecurities. This constant pressure to present a flawless facade can fuel dishonest behaviors, but it's not just about grand deceptions. LHS also manifests in smaller, everyday lies. Think about the influencer who promotes products they don't use, or the friend who constantly exaggerates their accomplishments. LHS thrives in a culture obsessed with image and instant gratification. It preys on our insecurities and our desire for approval. Recognizing its modern manifestations is crucial to combating its influence. Religion occupies a complex space within the framework of LHS. On one hand, it can be a powerful force for challenging dishonesty. Many faiths emphasize honesty, integrity, and compassion. They provide moral frameworks that discourage lying and deceit. However, religion can also be used to justify harmful behaviors. Think about historical instances where religious institutions have silenced dissent or covered up abuse. Dogma and blind faith can sometimes overshadow critical thinking and ethical considerations. It's important to remember that religion is often interpreted and practiced in vastly different ways. For some, it's a source of comfort and guidance. For others, it can be a source of oppression and control. The key takeaway is this: religion is not immune to the influences of LHS. Like any other institution, it can perpetuate or challenge dishonest behaviors. It all depends on how its teachings are interpreted and applied. We must question everything at all times. The price of truth: psychological and social impacts on truth seers. Imagine growing up in a family built on lies. Now imagine being the one who sees through the facade. This is the burden of the truth seer. They recognize the discrepancies between what's said and what's real. They see the cracks in the foundation. Speaking the truth can be isolating, especially since so much of the population is not well practiced with questioning what is expected of them, what is accepted, and why. It can lead to rejection from family, friends, and in societies consumed by LHS. The truth seer is often labeled as the troublemaker, the one who rocks the boat. This emotional toll can be significant. Truth seers often experience anxiety, depression, and a sense of loneliness. They may question their own perceptions, they may even doubt their sanity, but the impact of LHS on truth seers goes beyond the individual. When truth-tellers are silenced, it creates a culture of fear. People become afraid to speak out against wrongdoing. This silence allows LHS to thrive unchecked. Breaking the cycle: strategies for individuals facing Heir syndrome. Breaking free from LHS is challenging but essential. It requires introspection and courage. Here are some strategies. Awareness: acknowledge LHS in your life. Reflect on your family history, societal norms, and the entire world around you. Examine the stories you've been told and will be told. Are there patterns of dishonesty or secrecy? Question everything. Develop a healthy skepticism. Set boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. As you repair yourself, you will find that those that have not addressed LHS effects won't be able to relate to you as well as they did before. This is okay as long as you establish clear boundaries. You are becoming a unique and true individual, and you should encourage others to do the same. Avoid spending your time with anyone who would try to punish you for being yourself. LHS is extremely effective. Even changes to meanings of words can be linked directly to Heir syndrome. But since no one ever gave it a name to validate it, we've carried on like there is no elephant in the room. But there is, and it has grown into a massive issue now that we have something to address this phenomenon by. Shall we? We must all do thorough self-inventory and seek support. Connect with others who have experienced LHS. Remember, you are not alone in this. The majority of the world population is going through the exact same thing you are. Seek or even start a support group. Self-awareness exercises can help. Breaking free from LHS is a process. There will be setbacks and challenges, but you can create a more honest and authentic life. The generations of the future really do depend on it. We need to implement societal measures against LHS. Addressing LHS requires collective effort, dismantling systems that allow dishonesty, promoting media literacy. We must encourage each person to be aware of why they choose every decision they make, to minimize the impact of future LHS-related issues while addressing current LHS effects. We need to also start back supporting investigative journalism. Fostering transparency and accountability will help with trust establishment. The role of education must be used for empowering future generations. Education is our most powerful weapon against the insidious spread of Heir syndrome. By equipping future generations with the tools to critically analyze information, identify bias, and value honesty, we can break the cycle of inherited deception. We need to integrate media literacy into school curriculums from a young age. Children should be taught how to navigate the digital world, discern credible sources from misinformation, and recognize manipulative tactics used in advertising and propaganda. Furthermore, education should foster a spirit of open dialogue and critical thinking. Students should be encouraged to question assumptions, challenge authority, and engage in respectful debates based on evidence and reason. By empowering young minds with these skills, we can nurture a generation that values truth, demands accountability, and is resilient against the allure of falsehoods. We can build a culture of integrity through transparency and accountability. Combating liar's-heir syndrome requires a fundamental shift in our cultural values. We need to move away from a culture that prioritizes image over substance and instead embrace transparency and accountability as cornerstones of our institutions and interactions. Transparency fosters trust. When organizations operate openly, honestly share information, and are accountable for their actions, it builds confidence and encourages ethical behavior. This applies to governments, corporations, and even our personal relationships. Accountability is equally crucial. It means that individuals and institutions are held responsible for their actions, especially when those actions cause harm or violate trust. Accountability mechanisms, such as independent oversight committees and robust whistleblowing protections, are essential for deterring dishonesty and ensuring consequences for wrongdoing. By fostering a culture where transparency and accountability are not merely aspirational ideals but ingrained practices, we can create a society where honesty is the norm, not the exception. Advocacy and action, giving a voice to the voiceless. The fight against liar's-heir syndrome requires more than just awareness, it demands action. We need to be vocal advocates for truth and integrity in all aspects of our lives. This means challenging misinformation and disinformation when we encounter it, whether it's from politicians, media outlets, or even within our own social circles. We need to be willing to have uncomfortable conversations and speak up against injustice, even when it's easier to stay silent. Supporting organizations dedicated to promoting transparency and accountability is another crucial step. These organizations work tirelessly to expose corruption, hold powerful entities accountable, and empower individuals to speak their truth. Each one of us has a role to play in dismantling the systems that perpetuate liar's-heir syndrome. By speaking up, taking action, and demanding better from our leaders and institutions, we can create a world where truth prevails. Exposing the red flags in leadership towards a future of truth and trust. Imagine a world where honesty is the default, where transparency is the norm, where accountability is expected. This is the future we must strive for. Eradicating liar's-heir syndrome completely may be an idealistic goal. But by understanding its roots, recognizing its manifestations, and actively combating its influence, we can create a world where truth and trust prevail. This is not a battle for the faint of heart. It requires courage, resilience, and an unwavering belief in the power of truth. But the stakes are too high to remain silent. The future of our society, and indeed our humanity, depends on our collective commitment to building a world beyond lies. Together, we can heal the world from the ground up, one thought at a time. Liar's-heir syndrome has left its mark, but we have the power to rewrite the future. Join the global movement to restore truth, trust, and unity. In our journey to understand liar's-heir syndrome, we must also consider its potential impact on the evolution of the concept of the individual. This exploration reveals how societal shifts influenced by LHS can subtly alter the meanings of words and the perceptions they carry. Shift towards self-interest and autonomy. Imagine a culture where deceit and manipulation are rampant due to LHS. In such a society, self-interest and personal gain might become the norm. Consequently, the term individual could increasingly be associated with selfishness or autonomy, disconnected from communal responsibility. Over time, this shifts the connotation of individual from a term emphasizing uniqueness and personal rights to one tinged with self-centeredness and a lack of social responsibility. Erosion of trust and social fabric. LHS doesn't just promote deceit, it erodes trust within a society. As trust diminishes, individuals may become more isolated or skeptical of others, reinforcing a focus on the self rather than the community. The word individual might then reflect this isolation, emphasizing separateness and self-reliance in a more fractured society. This subtle shift changes individual from denoting a distinct person to implying someone disconnected from collective well-being. Identity and perception in a manipulative culture. In a society deeply influenced by LHS, where identity and perception can be manipulated for personal or political gain, the concept of individual might become more fluid or distorted. People might struggle to define their own identity in a landscape where truth is malleable. As a result, individual could take on a more complex or conflicted meaning, reflecting the challenges of maintaining personal integrity in a world where honesty is compromised. Conclusion. While there isn't a direct historical correlation between the evolution of the word individual and LHS, one could argue that the societal shifts associated with LHS, such as increased deceit, manipulation, and self-interest, could influence how the term individual is used and perceived. If LHS promotes a culture of dishonesty, it could lead to subtle changes in how people view themselves and others as individuals, potentially altering the word's connotations over time. Understanding these potential correlations helps us see the broader implications of LHS on our language, perceptions, and social dynamics. As we strive for a future of truth and trust, we must remain vigilant about the evolving meanings and perceptions within our society. Pause 3S. As we delve deeper into the true nature of our reality, let's explore how Heir syndrome shapes not just our perceptions, but the very essence of our identity as individuals and as a collective society. In the intricate fabric of our existence, manipulation and half-truths are woven into the fabric of our world through society. These distortions are handed down through generations, creating a collective reality built on misconceptions. But what if this reality is just a fragment of a much larger truth that we are too close to see? Understanding LHS is crucial. It is the cumulative effect of systemic dishonesty, where falsehoods are accepted as truths influencing societal norms and beliefs. This syndrome has historical, cultural, and institutional roots where the truth is often sacrificed for power, control, or convenience. As a result, our collective understanding of reality is warped, limiting our ability to see the bigger picture. Consider the analogy of an ant living on the surface of a rock. To the ant, the rock is its entire universe. It cannot perceive the vastness of the planet it inhabits. Similarly, humanity, under the influence of LHS, might be too entrenched in its constructed realities to see the broader truths of the universe. Our understanding is confined by societal norms, media narratives, and educational structures shaped by generations of manipulation and deceit. To break free from the constraints of LHS, we must cultivate new ways of thinking and perceiving. This involves questioning accepted truths, challenging societal norms, and seeking knowledge beyond what is presented. By doing so, we can begin to see beyond the manipulated reality that LHS has created. Imagine if we could step back from our universe, just as an ant would need to step back to understand the planet it inhabits. This requires a shift in perspective, viewing the world not just through the lens of inherited beliefs, but through a broader, more inquisitive approach. Interdisciplinary thinking, combining science, philosophy, art, and spirituality, can offer a more holistic view of reality, helping to bridge the gaps left by LHS-influenced perceptions. Throughout history, societies have operated under manipulated realities, be it through propaganda, religious dogma, or political control. These distorted realities often led to conflicts and societal decay. Today, LHS manifests in the spread of misinformation, manipulation of public opinion, and societal polarization. The digital age has amplified these effects, making it harder to discern truth from falsehood. Even in the scientific community, LHS can manifest as dogmatic adherence to outdated theories or suppression of unconventional ideas. To truly understand the universe, science must remain open to new paradigms that challenge the status quo. The path forward requires promoting truth and transparency at all levels of society. This includes encouraging honest communication, holding institutions accountable, and fostering environments where truth is valued over convenience. Education systems must evolve to teach critical thinking, question assumptions, and explore multiple perspectives. Global collaboration is essential, as LHS is not confined to any one culture or nation. Heir syndrome has kept humanity confined within a narrow view of reality, much like an ant unaware of the planet it inhabits. To overcome this limitation, we must cultivate new ways of thinking and perceiving that allow us to step back from our immediate surroundings and see the bigger picture. The time has come to step out of the shadow of liar's heir syndrome and into the light of truth. Only then can we truly grasp the enormity of the reality we inhabit and begin to navigate it with wisdom and clarity. The journey will be challenging, but it is essential for the future of humanity and the advancement of knowledge. The choice is ours. Let's make it happen. We must first start with red flags. Always beware of those who want you to do as they say, but not as they do. Always beware of those who use respect as a reward. Always beware of those who don't want you to ask questions. These are red flags of the severest nature. Imagine an ant living its entire life on the surface of a large rock. To the ant, the rock is its entire universe, its boundaries, terrain and sky. The ant cannot perceive that it is on a planet, let alone grasp the concept of planets, solar systems or galaxies. Its reality is confined by its immediate experience, so vast truths remain hidden from its view. Now, consider that we as humans might be in a similar situation. What if our entire universe, as grand and infinite as it seems, is merely a tiny fragment of a much larger reality? What if we are so close to something colossal, so ingrained in it that we cannot perceive its true nature? Our universe as a cell. What if our entire universe is just a single cell in a vastly larger organism or structure? Just as cells are the building blocks of our bodies, the universe could be a building block of something incomprehensibly vast. We perceive the universe as infinite, but this might only be because we are too close to see the boundaries or context in which it exists. The Earth as an atom. Consider the possibility that Earth and even our solar system could be akin to an atom in a larger structure. In our daily lives, we cannot see atoms without powerful tools, yet they are fundamental to everything around us. Similarly, Earth could be a minuscule part of a much larger reality, one that we are unable to detect because we are inside it. The multiverse as a fractal. Another hypothesis could be that our universe is just one layer in a fractal structure where every part reflects the whole at different scales. If the multiverse is structured this way, our universe might be so deeply embedded in this fractal pattern that we cannot perceive the larger picture. Each layer of the fractal might be invisible to the others, just as ants cannot comprehend the Earth as a whole. Historically, humans once believed that the Earth was flat and that the sky was a dome over it. This was due to our limited perspective and understanding. It took centuries of exploration and scientific discovery to reveal the true nature of our planet. Similarly, our current understanding of the universe might be limited by our perspective. In quantum mechanics, particles behave in ways that defy classical logic. Phenomena like superposition and entanglement suggest that our reality operates on principles that are not easily visible or understandable. This could imply that larger unseen structures govern the universe, just as quantum rules govern the microscopic world. Scientists estimate that approximately 85% of the matter in the universe is dark matter, something we cannot see or directly detect. Dark energy, which makes up about 70% of the universe's energy, is also invisible to us. These concepts suggest that much of what influences our universe is beyond our current capacity to perceive, hinting at the possibility of even larger unseen forces or structures. Imagine a forest so vast that it covers an entire planet. The trees are so tall that they touch the sky, and their roots are so deep that they reach the planet's core. To the creatures living in this forest, the trees are their entire world. They climb them, burrow into them, and live their lives surrounded by them. One day, a curious creature digs deeper than anyone ever has. It discovers that what it thought were just tree roots are actually connected to something much larger, a network that spans the entire planet. The trees are not individual entities, but part of a single gigantic organism that makes up the entire planet. However, the creature's perspective is still too limited. Even with this discovery, it cannot comprehend the true scale of what it's seeing. It cannot step back far enough to view the planet-sized organism as a whole. The realization dawns that the very thing it lives within, the thing that shapes every aspect of its life, is invisible because it is simply too close. This perspective invites us to approach the universe with humility. If we are indeed so close to something gigantic that we cannot see it, then our current understanding of reality is limited. This should inspire us to continue exploring, questioning, and seeking knowledge beyond what we can perceive. Just as the trees in the story are part of a larger organism, we might be interconnected in ways we do not yet understand. This interconnectedness could have profound implications for how we view ourselves, our planet, and our place in the universe. To understand the true nature of our reality, we may need to develop new ways of thinking and perceiving. Just as the ant cannot understand the planet without leaving its limited perspective, we may need to find ways to step back from our universe to see the bigger picture. If we are indeed so close to something enormous that we cannot see it, this should fill us with awe and curiosity. The universe, as vast and complex as it seems, may be just the beginning of a much larger truth waiting to be discovered. We must continue to explore, question, and push the boundaries of our understanding, for the greatest discoveries may lie just beyond the limits of our perception. But in order to do that, we must always beware of those who want you to do as they say, but not as they do. Always beware of those who use respect as a reward. Always beware of those who don't want you to ask questions. These are all red flags of the severest nature for LHS. Be mindful of being transparent with those who may not have your best interests at heart. Unikin, the truth we share. In every heart, we're everywhere. Across the globe, beneath the skin, we are one, all unikin. From distant lands to skies above, we're tied together, bound by love. No borders break the threads within, for we are family, unikin. In every face, a piece of me, a shared humanity, wild and free. No matter where our paths begin, they all converge in unikin. So let us rise, hand in hand, across the sea, across the land. In unity our hearts are kin, for we are one, forever unikin. Unikin encapsulates the concept that everyone shares a common bond, a sense of universal kinship that transcends individual differences. Visit Build Community World Action Boards to learn more about LHS and to start healing the world one thought at a time at organizecommunity.net.